corporate level, I mean, lots of these issues have been coming up. So I would like to discuss some such issues, but I think it's a good idea at this point. You have already heard three kinds of perspectives. So it's not about me asking questions. I would like to hear from you because it's for you only. So while I would like to focus on some such issues, but I would first like to hear from you. So I request the student volunteers Achal and Deepak to help with the microphone. And if you have a question, please raise your hand. When you ask the question, please identify yourself and keep your question brief. And also, if it is directed to one particular panelist, please mention that. Otherwise, you are most welcome to keep it open for any panelist to address your query or your comment. Thank you. So you can raise your hand.
Khalid sir raised the issue that you have to, change the guidelines and framework for the CSR. So is it really implementable? That's my question. Can we really change the guidelines as in training, as in how the training should be conducted, or include those things?
What is your name?
Deepika.
Deepika. See, I would first need to know what is the requirement to be made, what is the requirement for the guidelines to be changed. Because right now, we need to understand there is a law which the Indian Parliament has made, right? It's called Section 135, which is part of the Companies Act. On the basis of that, the government of the day has made some rules. They're called CSR rules. Okay? On the basis of that, one of the most important rule is how 16,000 odd qualifying companies need to make a CSR policy. Now the policy is to be made by the company, and who's owning the money? The company. So it is basically delegated to the level of the company, and the broad framework of the rules gives the companies a lot of freedom to do what they want. So what we try and do is to go across the country to make people understand that there is enough freedom in the given rules and guidelines, provided you first understand them. And then you develop a policy, and I think this was a fantastic project where I could see Terry doing multiple stakeholders coming in, and CSR is one piece, and they are wanting it to become sustainable. So I think these kinds of case studies could be actually discussed in your class, Professor, where the students can understand the implication of a law to maybe strengthen a project like this, or maybe then that can help shape the CSR policy of a company like, say, an ITC, which has an e-Chopal or the other programs. So the guidelines can change on the basis of the feedback from the industry and the implementing agencies, but at the moment there is adequate freedom and space available. So you will have to be more specific, then I can give you a very specific answer also.
I got it.
Yeah?
Okay, would you like to add to this?
Yeah, any points?
Yeah, I'll just add here. What Mr. Pant is saying, the policy, there is no problem with the policy. Policy is very flexible, or it just say that you have to utilize 2% of your net profit on the CSR or gross profit for this one. The government has also made certain rules. Now, after that, the company has to implement those rules, and when they implement the rules, they have to prioritize on certain things. So what we are facing, what I said is that the priority of most of the companies is on the hardware, because you can actually see it. So from audit point of view, the auditor can go and see, yes, 20 home lighting systems have been given to 20 households. Now from audit point of view, if I say 20 persons have been trained, it is not visible. Okay, or institutions have been raised, their level has been raised from, say, X level to Y level, then it's a subjective thing, and it becomes very difficult to audit a subjective thing, and that's why they try to keep it away and rather prefer more of the objective things because of their audit constraints. So that is something a company has to devise their own mechanism on how they will also audit those other things and support long term, so that you create more value, sustainable value in the society, instead of just giving a particular thing and then after 1 year you may not find that particular thing. So sometimes it can be a short-term value without the necessary supporting infrastructure.
In fact, can I add just one thing here? We at the IIC, as I mentioned in my initial statement, are developing enabling and aspirational tools like the CSR index. So if you all go back and do a BSc IICA CSR index, you will see what I'm talking about. We're actually developing parameters on which, if suppose I am a company spending on education on primary schools, then I will get some weightage marks on whether I am creating more school buildings or actually real learning is happening in the schools. So if quality actually is happening through post testing and third party evaluation, I will give them more weightage, which then will put them on the index, which will put them on a higher FDI, for example. So those motivational tools have to be provided by the government to motivate what Dr. Palat is saying. Because companies may like to do, maybe just construct the schools because that is more visible. But it doesn't have impact which is needed, say, for the right, because अगर आप बच्चों का स्कूल बना रहे हैं, so it needs to comply with the Right to Education Act of 2009, which talks about not just putting children into school, but also that by the time they reach class 8, which is the learning, where they become vocationally training age, there has to be learning outcomes. So we are trying to develop such tools to help companies have the right policies and the correct investments.
Just one addition to this, the interpretation is very key in this whole CSR rules, because it is very clearly mentioned that further it is up to the company to actually decide what is appropriate and plan in the framework. So the institutional thing, like I understand, many people say it is not there. So how can we do? It doesn't justify in the Schedule 7 any of the listing. So those issues may be coming. But only one very specific thing that has happened as an amendment was that implementing agency, means the funder and implementing agency, means ITC's partner NGOs, admin cost and overheads and capacity building together should not exceed 5%. There was one amendment which has come up last year, which we have limited ourselves into that. Only thing is what happens in NGO field work. Those people actually are shown as part of operation. That is what we had to amend. Otherwise, it won't. Nobody can do that.
No, so Vijay, what you need to do is, out of the 95 rupees that you have, out of say 100 rupees is your budget. Now 5 goes into admin and basically capacity building. Within 95, suppose you've got 10 projects, and suppose the cost of one project total is 10 rupees. So within that, you can have an admin component which has to be given to the implementing agency. Primarily, the admin of 5 rupees out of 100 is the admin of the donor.
No, it very clearly says including implementing.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
That's
so when you do a project, when you give grants to an NGO, the NGO will have to have a small office, for example. They can't do it otherwise.
So all that we have to support them, otherwise they
can't. So it is all doable and it is all accountable within the ICSI का भी जो अभी notes आया, guiding notes on accounting. It is all has to be part of the 95 rupees.
That's something,
But institutional thing, we didn't have much issue. As you said, few people might have taken it, it is not there, so how can we do? But somehow we thought it's something which helps activity, otherwise we can't do it.
Absolutely. So that's very important that unless you create a local institutions there and build their capacity, then the entire program, you can't take forward the entire program in the long run.
And actually, this cap of 5% was done so that companies do not misuse this and start, in a surrogate way, paying themselves and showing it as CSR. So a cap had to be done of 5%. Maybe that will change on the basis of the feedback. It could change because the first year reporting is to come in by September end. We're already getting, if you check the report, please do read the newspapers every day, do a Google on CSR annual report. They're already started coming in and some amazing trends are coming. I read day before yesterday, FMCG companies, some of them, the CSR spending is going down because suddenly what they were saying as CSR was actually their business. It was not CSR. Now the moment they have to report it as per the law, they can't show it as CSR. So suddenly, I think for Hindustan Unilever, for their project Shakti, I think, it's come down. For Dabur, it has gone up. So you need to read all of these reports which are coming in and how and why this is happening as students to then question as to how a CSR must happen and how you must report it. It's a very live thing at the moment.
Very engaging discussion is going on. So what is the next question? Can we have yes?
Good afternoon, panel. My name is Aditya. As you yourself said that the CSR activities that you perform are not a charity work but a way to enhance your business or develop your business. So is this attitude impacting the how much your CSR activity is actually having a on-ground impact? Like if your attitude changes towards a more charitable approach, do you think that your impact, your CSR impact will be more? And for the government, my question is, is the government taking any initiative to change this attitude from developing the business point of view to a charitable point of view? Is the government doing anything about it? That is my question.
Should I answer or you would like to answer first? Okay, so Aditya is your name now?
Yes.
Is the mic